fuimos a Sevilla. Y
Es la tercera vez que vamos.
sí,
¿Y la segunda en Renfe?
segunda en Renfe. Sí,
No, 2017 fuimos en Renfe,
sí,
en Ave.
sí, pero en 20,
En el 2020.
2020. Yo quiero decir 2020, pero yo sé no puedo. Pero es el tercero en Sevilla, que es más.
Y seguro que la segunda en Ave a Sevilla, seguro.
Y es diferente cuando no conducir en España,
Sí,
porque me encanta el tren, o los trenes en
sí.
España.
¿Te enamoraste de Renfe? La primera
Renfe,
vez que cogiste un tren en España, te enamoraste de Renfe. You fell in love with
sí,
Renfe the
sí,
first
sí,
time that you landed in Spain.
Mm.
Au contraire of many people in Spain.
What do you mean? Like the people? What do you mean?
So there is a lot of us Spaniards that are very upset at Renfe. And there's a lot of controversy because there is a lot of money put into the AVE, the high-speed one. But there is not enough money put in Cercanías. And Cercanías is really, like the one that goes from here, from Parla to Madrid, for example. The trains are old. There's not enough infrastructure. So a lot of people get upset because more people, you could say, more people use or need the Cercanías than going from Madrid to Seville or from Madrid to Barcelona, and so on, so on, so on.
I would say, first off, I get it. Like, yeah, more people to use the other
Yes.
trains. Pero you're not in those trains for 3-5 hours.
Well, sometimes we have spent Parla Madrid in what? An hour and something?
Pero es muy largo.
Imagine if you go to the last stop of the C4.
Sí, solo un poco, ¿qué? Una hora y media y no 2 horas, no.
Casi lo mismo de ir de Madrid a Sevilla que de ir de Parla hasta la última estación de Cercanías.
See, you know the problem is?
¿Qué?
The problem is y'all only have Spain, like, transit to kind of complain about.
Well,
Because
yeah.
what I'm saying is, if you get out into the world and you go into New York City and try their transit lines, and I'm not even, you know what, y'all have, anyone that complains about Renfe, need to come ride on Amtrak.
Okay, but that's from Guatemala to Guatepeor. Guatemala, that's something that it's a game of words in Spanish. Guatemala is a country, but mala is bad. So we say Guatepeor, which is what the worst. From what the bad to what the worst. No.
I'm like, I heard Guatemala. And I'm like, is she talking bad about the country? Is she comparing it to Guatemala?
No, what I'm saying is that we're comparing Renfe to Amtrak is like an abismo.
Okay. No, it's not. No.
Renfe, the highest speed Ave,
Sí.
is the highest coverage kilometer-wise
Sí.
in Europe and the second in the world. Highest speed train, the longest territory that it covers. And it's supposed to expand even more.
Perfecto.
They are projecting to spend I don't know how many billions of euros into it, while the amount of money that is being for Cercanías is not even a quarter of it. While more people use it. It just doesn't make sense.
But it's connecting you to different places, like
Is
far away places.
Okay, so listen, something good for sure is that if you were to drive from here to from here to Madrid to Sevilla, it would have been 5 hours plus, right?
Okay.
Ave, 2:40, 2 horas 40.
Exactly.
If that would have been in the Amtrak in the US.
Oh my gosh. I took Amtrak from New York to Atlanta. That took, and I don't know how many hours it takes to drive, but it's nowhere near high speed.
No,
It's nowhere near as fast as Renfe. And it's because it stops so much.
And for so long.
I took like 3 naps on that train ride to
I
freaking
remember
Atlanta.
that we actually took a train, an Amtrak together.
Yes.
We went from New York to
I think
Maryland.
Maryland. Yeah, it was
Was it
Maryland. Yeah,
Maryland? Where we
Maryland.
bought our
Mhm.
autocaravana. And the train was like double the time of the driving time.
Yes.
So much that when we were going from New York to Florida, we could have taken the train, but instead we rented a car because you knew that you could do it in what, 20 hours?
No, 17.
17 hours, while the train is like almost 2 days. So yes, Amtrak.
You
not
listen,
good.
and it's not even about
Amtrak
it's
is
not even
a-
the speed. It's also the cleanliness of Amtrak.
Yeah.
The people, I'm saying the people because people be crazy on Amtrak. Okay, it's different.
It's not New York Metro, but yes,
It's just
people
as
be
bad.
crazy.
It's a mixed bag of what you get in. There's a lot of crazy, and then how dirty it is. And I've never eaten on the cafeteria inside Amtrak.
No, but in the Aves, the first thing that you
Oh
do
my
is put your
gosh.
bag down and you run to the
I've run to the
cafeteria.
cafeteria. They got donuts, they got food, they got drinks. You got a spot to really just relax.
You know what's the bad thing for me for the cafeteria?
Mm.
Is that I never get to like enjoy the landscape because they have that line that if you're sitting down is great, but if you're standing at my height, 160 something,
There's no seats in there.
there is no way that I can see, so I get dizzy. Meanwhile, I saw you this last trip, your head was above that division line.
Yeah. And
I don't like you
well,
because I can enjoy the
well, if you
landscape
just
like you.
lay down on the little desk there, you'd be fine. But that's what I'm trying to say. Like all these things you have in these Renfe trains and the high speed trains, I get it. I'm with you on. Hey, we need some more infrastructure, but you have infrastructure. Look, we have a tram here in Parla. We could take the tram to the train to Madrid, and if we need to go to the airport, we can do that. It's well connected and cleanly, very clean.
I don't want to open the Pandora box, but the train system reminds me of your working rights in the US. Yes, if you compare them from here to the US, they're wonderful. They're awesome. Our system of transportation at a city level, town level, intercity level is great compared to the US, but that doesn't mean that there isn't a lot of things that we need to fix.
Y'all are some entitled sons of bitches. Because all the crap that I had to go through, en Estados Unidos, trenes en Estados
Por eso tenéis tantos coches.
Nueva York. Solo Nueva York.
Okay.
En el tren, tú, tú puedes hacer cualquier cosa. Cualquier quiere.
Lo que quieras.
Sí, porque
Es cierto.
listen, we have the bums, we have drugs, we have fights. There's people throw like whole dinner restaurants kind of thing. You see someone unfold a table. You have
The rats
showtime.
sometimes go around you.
You have showtime where everyone comes in and start doing dances in between the trip and singing and all that. You have people break out into full-on fights. You find people having sex in the trains. You have anything. Anything goes
can
on.
happen in the metro in New York
Listen,
City for sure.
you can meet your worst enemy or the love of your life on a train. You can
Get sued.
You can get sued. Listen, there was a woman. They all if you just want to type, you want to see some stuff. If you want to see some stuff, I'm gonna just tell them to go to the L train. Forget all the other trains because the number trains are as bad as any. But the L train was the one I had to take all the time. Just type in L train on YouTube in New York City. And you tell me what you see. And all the things that happen to you on the train.
Yes.
So how can you even, I know you can't agree with this. You have to know that the trains here in Spain are amazing.
They are good. And
Good.
there are things to celebrate, right? Spain, Renfe, like the Ave section is partnering with other countries. So obviously there is something good that we're doing. And if I were to add something really good at it, is that we take care of the environment because it's not the same thing that, X amount of people travel by train, that if each individual person is taking a car to do the same kilometers, right? But if we think about back in the days, okay, like the nostalgia, Amtrak reminds me of the buses that we had, or that we have still in Spain.
So you're comparing our train to your buses? That by itself says everything. If you're going to take our train and compare it to a bus, that tells me how good you have it. I'm not even going to get back into the buses because the school buses you have for kids out here is already on a different level. So
With air conditioner and
with air
everything.
conditioning, higher seats, it's all nice. Those are our buses
Well,
that we used to travel don't even look that
weren't
good.
the buses that we had. So the Ave, the high speed, started like in 1992. Okay, but before that, like for example, my mother not lived, but worked in Murcia for the week. So like when I will travel there to visit her, I will get in the bus with my grandmother, and that was like 8 hours from here, from Madrid, from Parla to Murcia
Yeah.
before 1992.
Okay.
Well, and later because 1992 the high speed started, but it was Madrid Sevilla. It wasn't to Murcia. The Murcia just opened recently. So that was bad because it was dizzy, it was crowded, it was hot, especially like in
Any bus ride.
It was really really bad. And of course, let's not talk
But
about the bathroom.
But I don't understand. Is this just a problem in Madrid, or is this a problem like everywhere with Renfe?
What?
With Renfe?
All over Spain. Because there is a lot of towns that they cannot connect because there is no cercanías. Like for example, if we want to go to Pinto from here,
Yeah.
we have to drive.
Take an Uber or a cab.
An Uber, a
Oh my
car.
gosh! Yeah. Serious right now. Like,
But there is not like little cities connection, and this is Madrid. Imagine how it is
So
in
wait,
Galicia.
wait,
Imagine how it is in other
for example,
rural areas.
For instance, Pinto is not that far from Parla, right?
Therefore, there should be some sort of connection.
Espera. ¿Tienes un autobús ir a Pinto?
Sí, pero tienes que andar un
Sí,
montón.
pero no, sí, solo sí, no sí, pero sí.
Sí, pero tienes que andar un montón para coger el autobús.
Entonces, ¿tú tienes una manera?
Ya, pero Pinto está a 10 minutos de aquí. Si te pones a coger el transporte público, tardas 45 minutos. O
Ok.
a lo mejor más,
¿Y?
que no está bien.
Madre mía. Entonces, compras un coche.
Claro, y venga, emisiones,
Sí,
y a
entonces
contaminar
tú no tienes un
y nos volvemos a Estados Unidos con coches aquí.
Pero no necesita coche cuando vive en Nueva York.
No. Ni si vives en el centro de ninguna ciudad en España.
Listen, you can't have it all the way. You can't have everything you want. You got to have some space. You have to have some room. It's not going to be perfect, but you have good trains.
Yeah, but we like to complain about things. And it is true that it's not equally distributed on, usage versus investment. However, I believe the train that we took from Madrid to Sevilla, the Renfe one, was a little bit old. But on our way back, we use Iryo.
Iryo?
So Iryo is an Italian company.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. So recently, before it was just Renfe trains.
Right.
But with the years, we included Iryo, which is an Italian, and then the other one, Ouigo, which is a French line. So with that, at least we're using our rails.
So look at that. You're bringing in different country-style trains, huh?
Yeah.
So isn't that a good thing?
It is a good thing
isn't
because
that where
we
the investment
need more trains.
Isn't that where the investment is?
It's coming out of our taxes.
So you are paying taxes, and you have the ability to choose a train. And if you have a fare flying, you can choose a train, and not some regular car ride where you got to deal with traffic and people, and all that stuff with accidents. It relieves you of that kind of stress. Where you can just walk somewhere, get inside, sit down, watch a movie, watch the scenery, and get to a location without any problems.
Right. And having
and you're complaining about that.
Yes, because it's not just that our Cercanías doesn't have the same investment.
Now
we use Cercanías to go to work on a daily basis.
Yes, on a daily basis you use that. Do you have it? Does it exist? Yes, it does. Is it clean? Yes, it is. Does it work? Yes, it does. What's the problem?
Anywho, going back to Iryo, I think it's time for the product of the week.
Prof Twist. This is definitely going to be my summer drink. That came in the clutch because the train they were just opening the cafeteria and they didn't have any
You didn't even let the lady open up the chiringuito and you were already there saying, what do you have?
And so when she whipped that out, man, that drink is so smooth. I think, and they have other things too, right?
Yeah, but like, how would you describe the drink? Because I barely had a sip.
I know, because it was mine. You had your own drink. Listen, that craft toast was
I have my
smooth.
Alhambra
It was
Reserva.
refreshing. It had what is that thing I like? I forgot what it is that I used to drink so much when we was in Serbia. That it's like a not I'm about to say cauliflower. No, it's the other thing.
Isn't it here in the thingy?
Is it on there?
Elderflower.
Elderflower. That is so good.
Elderflower.
I love that. And in Serbia they have a bunch of that. That right there, oh, perfect in the summer.
Yeah, and it was refreshing. They put ice on it, and it was like bubbly a little bit. And you know what I have found out? That they belong to Tio Pepe.
Tio Pepe?
Yeah, so
Isn't
this
that the
drink
big
with
thing
this
that's
English brand, you know, that it seems like is something that is coming from outside of Spain. It's actually a Spanish. It belongs to a Spanish brand, which is Tio Pepe,
Hello?
which is one of the most representative wineries that we
Is it?
have. Yeah, because they like started business in like 1800s.
I'm gonna have to give Tio Pepe a call.
Yes, I agree. So you can have cases and cases of it. But yeah, I think that they came out and they came out with this drink apparently to like give something to the British tourists that come here to Spain that doesn't necessarily have to be sangria or something like that.
Oh man, this is for British tourists? Don't ruin my
What
drink.
I read.
Don't ruin my drink.
I have some questions for you since you are like the in love with Renfe and all these kind of things. Do you think that traveling like this changes the way that you see Spain? And I'm asking because the first time that you took an AVE in 2017, I remember that we were like, from Madrid to Sevilla, and you were just seeing like fields of nothingness, but you were like in awe. You were like, oh,
Yeah, I think it does because and I'm only speaking as an American in this, but I don't know if this happens to Spanish because this does happen to me in my own country when I took a train for the first time or even drove like down south. Is that for tourists we go to big cities, we go to Barcelona or Madrid or maybe if they go up north we might want to go to Vigo or in all those places, but that's all you will see unless you go to rent a car and drive around Spain, which most people do not do. So instead, if you take the train, you actually get to see the scenery of Spain. And a lot of us don't know that Spain has so much different kinds of scenery. So I would never expect that. But watching it, and as on the train, like you can see like the different aspects of Spain that I wouldn't think this is Spain. So I think
like the colors and everything,
the
right?
colors, the terrains, like I wouldn't think of that when I think of Spain because immediately it's all the stereotypes that come first, and then all the things that identify Spain outside of Spain. So there would be like the cathedrals, or in Barcelona, all the architecture and architecture here in Madrid, or how city style of Madrid. So those are the things that come to mind.
And if you compare the landscape between Spain and the US, especially when you go on the train, when you go on the train in the Amtrak, you see a lot of like industrial cities or like factories and things like that. And while we do have factories in Spain as well, that's not what you see in the
No.
in the
And
ride.
also on top of that, like you actually get to enjoy the scenery here. Like in the US, there's some spots with the train where you can enjoy the scenery. Like if you're on the East Coast and you're going down south, like it's nothing but trees and forest, but the trees
super high trees.
super high
we don't
trees
have those here, yeah.
So you don't really see that far. You just see woods. Whereas
see
here
woods.
you can actually see the terrain, and I think that's a little bit more enjoyable. Like I can really see things and imagine life.
Yeah.
What if I lived there? Or there.
Oh, you ask yourself those questions too?
Yeah, because for me, growing up in the city, the thing is, I don't know if I'm sure people do this. Like you will see somebody out on a field or just working or walking, and you're like, people live here. People have lives here. There's a story here, and I'm curious.
There's actually farmers in this world. Thank you, farmers.
So that's what I see, and I think that's why it would change your perception of Spain if more tourists took the trains out here and got away like that. Because
well, we do need more riders to make Renfe a little bit more profitable.
Yes.
I know that we stopped flying when we rescue our dog Nala and then Simba and then everybody else. But when we used to fly, do you think that this is a better way of feeling connected than flying?
Connected in what sense?
Like, do you feel more connected to the country? Like, because I feel like when you fly, you skip a lot of things, details, lifestyle, things like that.
I would have to agree with that because when you fly, your mind isn't on anything about
what's down there.
What's down there. All you're thinking in your mind is like, please just let me stay in the air till I get to my destination. That's it. And even if you look down, you don't really see anything. You can see the colors or whatnot, but Here, you actually get to see life happening around you. It might be at a faster pace, but you still get to see the terrain, the weather, the colors, the people, and on top of that, I think it's a better connection when you're on a train because the same thing when you're flying on a plane. I feel like when you're on a plane, there's less. Nobody wants to be in anybody's space. Like it's already a cramped space.
Yeah.
And I don't want you here, and I don't want to start a
I already
conversation with
hear
you.
you're snoring when you fall asleep.
Exactly. But on the train, I feel like it's a little bit more relaxed. I feel like people can have conversations on the train and it's not a problem.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about just random people. I'm talking about me interacting with someone I don't know. Like I don't feel like there's a barrier there.
Yeah. Oh, like on our way to Seville, a guy stopped us. He was sitting, he picked up the train in Cordoba or whatever, and then we just started talking.
Exactly.
But also the bar. So you go to the cafeteria, and I'm not saying that you're gonna go and start making friends in the cafeteria in El Ave.
You can.
but it gives that social environment of what the Spanish society represents. That's for
my
sure.
point.
That's
And
for
again,
sure.
I see why they don't put because I think in Amtrak we do have seats in the cafeteria, but I understand why you don't put seats in the cafeteria because you want it to feel like a bar.
So we're standing.
Because you have to make every scene in Spain a bar.
Allah.
Every place. I've seen two cars driving next to each other talking, and I'm surprised they didn't just stand outside the car and give each other beers or
I
whatnot.
was so upset we didn't have a camera when that happened because that was very hilarious. Okay, explain it to me. You already heard this. El que se fue a Sevilla perdió su silla. The one that went to Sevilla lost his chair. Okay.
Is there another one to that?
No. So first of all, because it talks about transportation. I'm like, we're gonna re-talk about this because I found out about the story of it.
Uh-oh.
So it was century 15th, and they were building the cathedral, the Gothic cathedral that we love so much. And there was two people assigned to, Alonso the First and Alonso the Second. Alonso the Second was the nephew of Alonso the First.
Okay.
Alonso the First was assigned to Seville, while Alonso the Second was assigned to Santiago de Compostela in Galicia. This one right here, the nephew was having some issues, right? They were getting accustomed and all that. And so the uncle said, you know what? Why don't we switch places? You take my spot here, I take your spot there, I help you putting things in order, and then we switch back whenever we're ready. So when it was time for them to switch back in, the nephew was like, too bad. I'm happy here. I don't want to leave Seville. This is my house. You left your chair. You left Seville. You left your chair. Que se fue a Sevilla, perdió su silla.
That's where it come from?
Yeah.
That's an ass whipping. That's badass. But I mean, he's in Galicia, so it's not that bad.
Well, back in the 15th century, God knows the difference.
It was different. Looking at because we had a viewer take us around and tell us some of the history of Sevilla. So Sevilla was really different. I'm sure with the water. We
learned so much more history this time. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would be upset. I would be upset. He gonna give up that seat, whether he wants to or not. He gonna give up that seat.